Hello, John. We're going to talk about the state of Irish politics at present. And we'll start off with somebody who left the Social Democrats this week, Mr. Stephen Donnelly.
Good morning. This week, Mr. Stephen Donnelly, TD for Wicklow, Carlow constituency, elected in 2011 as an independent TD, but a man who's been writing regularly in the Sunday Independent on financial matters and sometimes in other journals on financial matters, and regularly on the media, who support the sort of left-wing social matters that Stephen Donnelly appears to be an expert in. Stephen Donnelly, after the recent election in February of this year, 2016, in which Fine Gael lost quite a number of seats, Labour was decimated from 30 or thereabouts down to 7, and lucky to have 7. And various independent parties then, various independents came together, and including Stephen Donnelly with a former Labour, Roisin Shorthall, a former Labour minister, and now resigned and left the Labour Party, and a lady called Murphy, Mrs. Murphy, I can't think of her first name. I think she was independent, so they call themselves the Social Democrats, and none of them they were all leaders, if you like, of that Social Democrats.
They were all leaders?
Yeah, there was no one of them elected a leader. In other words, they could speak on all matters as they might see fit, and with a left-leaning, much like the Labour Party, on social issues.
What do you think is the idea of there's no leader in particular?
Well, first of all, that's not a good omen for a cohesiveness that any political party, if they wish to be a political party, should have. In this case, there was 3 people from the different political spectrum, but all with this left-leaning socialist philosophy. So it should have been perhaps common sense that one would be the leader, and then that they would have operate on that basis, because they established a party called the Social Democrats, which is a name that sums them up as regards socialists and what have you. But this was the position they took, and it has come now asunder by Mr. Stephen Donnelly leaving that party this week.
Do you think there's a place in Irish politics for a Christian party, like the Christian and Jobs Action Party?
Well, at the present time, there's no such thing as a party representing that aspect of our society. For example, Mr. Donnelly, when he resigned, he had plenty of exposure on all the media channels, namely RTE Radio, their evening programme that goes on between 4:30 and 6:30 or 7 thereabouts, and also News Talk, and he was given free rein to express his position and to congratulate and highlight the benefits of the other 2 members left in the Social Democrats. He had nothing but good to say, but he's gone out now on his own, so he can do whatever it is he feels he needs to do on his own. It's the fact that he got such exposure when somebody else, just as talented, mightn't get anything like that exposure, is symptomatic in many ways of the left-leaning bias of the media in Ireland, all sections.
What changes would you like to see in Irish politics?
Well, in Irish politics at the present time, we've just talked about the Social Democrats. You've got the Alliance Independents, some of them now are in government namely Shane Ross, Finian McGrath, and this new member, Catherine Zappone, and a fellow called John Halligan. I think he's a Minister for State. I don't know if he was a member of the Labour Party before or what have you, but he's a man very much in favour of abortion, for example. You've got Labour, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael. You've got Renew, but none of the parties have, like what they have in Germany, the Christian Democrats. There's no Christian party except the Christian and Jobs Action Party, which we founded in 2015 and which I stood for election as an independent, the party not being registered because we hadn't sufficient members. Stood as an independent in February 2016, and we're very glad to get votes from people that support the views that the Christian and Jobs Action Party have.
Do you think some people might be turned off with a political party that has Christian values?
Well, you see, that being the case, it's a very sad reflection on Ireland. I think it's probably fair to say that the media, with their constant emphasis on everything bar a spiritual value system for people, everything, sport, advanced to such a degree that if you're not into sport, you're not living. For example, there was an All-Ireland hurling final there on Sunday in which Tipperary won the All-Ireland final, and congratulations to that county for so doing. Kilkenny having won so many, but regretfully, in my view, was spoiled by one of the players from the Tipperary hurling team being interviewed at public radio, television, namely RTE television, and in the course of his enthusiasm used a 4-letter word which should never be used by anyone in the public airwaves. A very regrettable utterance. It was mentioned by a correspondent on the News Talk programme, sports programme, which was held on the Monday or Tuesday after that. A gentleman, probably a GAA stalwart, mentioned about that episode. The presenter said to him, "What's wrong with that? Don't all the Irish use this word?" The presenter was so out of touch with good behaviour, proper behaviour, in other words, no class. It looks to me at times as if presenters and commentators in the media in this country have no class. They don't seem to know the limits to which language should go. They don't appear to know right from wrong or have any foundation for right behaviour.
My biggest problem with the media, with these commentators, and goes for a lot of the talk shows as well, is that everything is rushed. Everything's a rush. They speak really, really quickly, and it's quite annoying. There's no sense of relaxation about it.
Correct.
It actually makes a person anxious when you're watching it.
Well, it even makes listeners anxious. They're in a perpetual hurry, and it seems to be always about problems. There are other programmes that one can hear from, for example, only up the road in Northern Ireland, the BBC radio. Completely different thing altogether. Matters pertaining to ordinary people, where they can go for walks, where kind of a jollity attached to it. None of this heavy-handed nature that we have on all channels, including independent channels on the radio, TV. I mean, when have you heard something that you've been informed about something useful? I mean, the economic problems that they continuously talk about, the hospital situation that they continually talk about, the homelessness. Ailish O'Hanlon has mentioned one of the only good writers, in my view, that writes in the Sunday Independent, refer to this media and certain political establishment talking about homelessness. It's the new buzzword for what was the water tax situation, so beloved of the left. Now, homelessness, you're not going to solve the home problem if you allow thousands of people to enter the country from overseas, which we see in every town and village in the country, in every suburbs of the cities. How in the name of God can you provide homes for all these people coming in from abroad, not counting asylum seekers and Muslims? Look, and people fleeing from Muslim persecutions. How can you provide homes for Irish people in all these? It can't be provided, but the media seem oblivious to that fact, and certain politicians, especially the left. It's a time that a bit of common sense come into the picture. So this is the sort of stuff this is the sort of onslaught that we're subjected to morning, noon and night. There has to be something pleasant outside that we can learn something from.
That's great. Thanks very much, John, for that.
And thank you very much. And we can speak about all these matters again, because there seems to be no possibility of changing the mindset of whoever it is that's running the media organisations in this country.
Okay, thank you.